moderator, judges, students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. With a show of hands, how many of you want to be farmers when you grow up? I'm not surprised that not many people raise their hands. How many times have you heard this phrase? If you don't go to school and learn, I will give you a cutlass so you can go to the garden and work with your father. What does this show us? Farming is no longer seen as a respectable career. It is seen as a last option, something that you only do if you are not smart enough for school. What can be done to change this? The topic of our debate here today is the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. Permit me to define the key terms in the topic. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines vibrant as pulsating with life or activity. Cannabis is a product of the cannabis sativa plant that is used for its psychoactive and therapeutic effects. It comes in many forms, including as dried flowers and leaves, hash, and extracts. That is according to www.cam.ca. The Oxford Dictionary defines industry as economic activity concerned with the processing of raw materials and manufacture of goods in factories. The restated mood is the increase in the possibility of pulsating economic activity from the processing of cannabis will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. Today, my teammates and I are here to present to you our rigid stance on the proposition of the topic that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. As a first speaker, I will be expounding on the following points: the profitability of a vibrant cannabis industry, the sustainability of cannabis, and the nobility and innovative nature of the cannabis industry. The second speaker will then expound on the marketability of cannabis and the impact of the cannabis industry on the youth and their interest in agriculture. The profitability of a vibrant cannabis industry will attract the youth because profit shows promise and continuity. Aren't we all driven by the desire to be independent, to make our own decisions and meet our own needs? Let's be honest with ourselves. One of the drawbacks of the present agricultural industry is a lack of profitability because of the scarcity and limit for these goods. What if we had a vibrant cannabis industry where we could get involved in the cultivation of this herb on whatever land space we own or lease and have a sure market, not for abuse, but for the production of oils, creams, soaps, or medicines? Would you be interested in that venture? I know I would. In a survey conducted right here in Dominica among my peers across 4 secondary schools with persons aged 23 to 30, this very question was asked, and the results were astounding. We found that 73% indicated that if the development of the cannabis industry offered a variety of innovative products and services outside of its current use, they would be interested. So is it actually profitable? Let's take a look at the profitability on a global market scale. According to a legal cannabis market size, share and trends analysis report by Grandview Research, the global legal cannabis market size was valued at $17.8 billion in 2021 and is expected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of 25.3% from 2022 to 2030. In the Caribbean, we see similar trends of profitability among countries that have developed their industry. Does this profitability actually attract the youth? A study done by the University of the West Indies Monaco on cannabis cultivation and consumption pattern in Jamaica from 2017 to 2018 states, and I quote, "Unlike regular agriculture that fails to attract large numbers of young people, cannabis cultivation appears to be quite attractive to young people, given its high return per crop yield compared to other agricultural commodities. 11% of ganja farmers are between the ages of 18 and 25, while 26% of farmers are between the ages of 26 and 33, end quote. Has that always been the case? Oh no. For many years, the average age of farmers in the Caribbean region has been 50 and above, with some countries even taking higher to 60. The drudgery, hard work, and little financial rewards associated with agriculture seems to be the major deterrents to young people entering the sector. But recently, that has changed because of the profitability that the new trends in agriculture offer. Secondly, the sustainability of the cannabis industry will heighten the interest of more young people, and their participation in agriculture will increase. Madam Moderator, my colleague and I are not here today to convince the young people to enter and get involved in an economic activity that is too show, too flam, up today and down tomorrow. No, we are convinced, and by now we are certain that you are too, that a vibrant cannabis industry is going to be there for the long term. There is always going to be a demand for it. Be reminded that we are advocating the medicinal use of marijuana, and medicine is something that will never go away. It will always be needed. It is unfortunate that we live in a world full of illness that comes with much pain. Therefore, my most worthy opponents, there is always going to be a demand for cannabis to relieve the pain of those suffering. Wouldn't you want this? I know I would. Young people are smart and have creative ideas which can be channeled into creating safe, healthy products with a natural herb which has been traditionally tabooed and sanctioned. Since a raw product will be needed to do this, more young people would be eager to grow cannabis and put their creative juices to create products. Building youth capacity in this way will result in greater youth participation. Additionally, the cannabis industry has the opportunity for developing other industries. The Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition of South Africa, Ms. Gina, states, and I quote, "Government estimates that the cultivation and commercialization of cannabis production in South Africa can generate an estimated 28 billion rand and can create between 10,000 to 25,000 jobs across sectors." Madam Moderator, it is evident that such an industry is quite feasible for the youths, as it has the capability of meeting their needs now and the needs of generations to come. My third point is young people are attracted to what is new, innovative, and versatile. Young people are not keen on anything that is overused, old-fashioned, or cliche. They are instead attracted to new ideas, innovative and versatile products and trends, and things which are considered popular or socially cool. Of the 86 Dominicans who participated in the recent survey among our peers, 37% claim they are not interested in agriculture as a means of additional income. Of that percentage, when asked whether a new industry would pique their interest, 70% of that group expressed that it would. So there it is, clear that while agriculture in and of itself may not interest the youth, the development of industries with promise of innovation and versatility would generate interest. The primary concern for most persons who hear the word cannabis or marijuana is addiction or abuse. In fact, I am certain that this is one of the main arguments of my most worthy opponents. But let me say that the development of an industry involves the establishment of the necessary regulation and infrastructure that will provide proper training and set legal parameters to ensure its success. In October of last year, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit stated, and I quote, "This year's budget provides permits and licenses for people who are into the production of marijuana oils, creams, lotions, and soaps made from cannabis, because we recognize that there are a number of Dominican citizens who are suffering from cancer and who use the marijuana oil to bring relief to their pain. In a vibrant cannabis industry, cannabis is used to its full potential in new legal ways where the health benefits can be maximized. So why should we stand here today with arguments founded on stereotypes and scare tactics? In fact, consider this. There are so many opioids currently being abused, opioids which are much more harmful than marijuana. Do the companies stop manufacturing them? Fast cars cause accidents when they are used wrongly. Do we stop making them? The potential for abuse is not a strong enough deterrent to hinder the development of a cannabis industry. It is profitable, innovative, and versatile. All of these qualities attract the youth, and the development of an industry which does all of this will no doubt increase their interest in agriculture. Thank you.
Honorable Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, organizers of this debate, teachers, loyal supporters, the listening public, and my most worthy opponents, a pleasant good afternoon to you all. I chuckled as I pondered on the topic for this afternoon's debate, and the lyrics of the song Ganja Farmer by Marlon Asher came to mind. To quote him, "Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer," end quote. The term ganja here is often referred to as marijuana, pot, weed, sensimilia, cannabis, or even grass. Madam Moderator, you will certainly agree with me here today that the topic of today's debate is a very serious yet intriguing topic, not only for us here in Dominica, but for many nations across the globe. Honorable judges, we should not sit here and be oblivious to the fact that there is a stigma associated with agriculture, particularly by young people. We cannot be blindsided by the numerous failures to attempt to develop other lucrative crops, and we certainly cannot forget of the high cost for the maintenance and growth of cannabis. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, my colleague and I can assure you that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will not increase the interest and the participation of young people in agriculture. Permit me at this juncture to elucidate the key points which make up this topic. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, cannabis is a drug, illegal in many countries, and it is made from the dried leaves and the flowers of a hemp plant. The Collins English Dictionary defines industry as the procedures involved in collecting raw materials and making them into products in factories. The Merriam-Webster's Dictionary refers to agriculture as the science, arts, or even the practice of cultivating soil, producing crops, raising livestock, and the preparation and the marketing of the resulting products. My worthy opponents, have you ever wondered why so many parents who work in agriculture are determined to get their children on a different career path? Most young people demonstrate their unwillingness to work in agriculture. In many countries, agriculture has proven to be unattractive to young people due to the discouraging fact that farmers experience the effects of climate change, outdated farming practices, unconventional work hours, invasive species, pests, poor land topography, and limited access to technology. In recent times, most young people saw that the work in agriculture was difficult and not prestigious, and as a result, most of them moved away from the rural areas in search of more appealing jobs in urban areas. A statistical report released by the Eurostat in 2020 shows that only 11.9% of farmers in the entire European Union were under 40 years old. Majority of the farmers were 55 years old and above. In the Caribbean and other Latin American countries, the average age of farmers are 50 years and older. These figures prove that only a minority of young people show interest or participate in agriculture. In addition, the world has experienced the significant decline or failures of other lucrative crops and their industries. Madam Moderator, in our beloved country, Dominica, it is evident that most of our known estates, such as Hampstead and Geneva, and other farmlands are underutilized and in many cases totally abandoned. You may ask, why? Well, the elderly population retired, some grew tired of the unprofitable ventures, and many young people are skeptical of losing their time, resources, social life, over another crop that risks the chance of failing. Let me direct you to a little history, which still taunts the young people and even the older population. Traditionally, the Caribbean was known for its agricultural export. Dominica once produced banana, cocoa, and limes for export. Banana, for example, was very profitable until the global market competition caused its failure. An article posted on the Dominica News Online on March 1st, 2010 by Laurie Stephen highlighted that Dominica was the world's largest producer of limes, which was also the main ingredient of the famous Rose's lime juice cordial in the 1800s. During this period, the island experienced tremendous profit gains, with the largest purchaser being L. Rose and Lime Company in Scotland. Unfortunately, by 1978, changes in the world economy, domestic policies, and the significant investment by the parent group in Ghana and Cameroon caused its inevitable failure. Similarly to these crops, cannabis producers will suffer great competition and possibly significant losses. According to an article by Elizabeth Morgan, a specialist in international trade policy and international politics, the Caribbean cocoa has been affected by inclement weather and disease. In the 1990s, Jamaica's export of cocoa averaged about $5 million per annum. In 2020, however, exports valued only $348,000. Jamaica also had a thriving citrus industry, which has been destroyed by the citrus greening disease, which has no cure. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just some of the hindrances which still plague the minds of so many young people, discouraging them from investing in any similar agricultural industry. Honorable judges, one must understand that growing cannabis for your own personal use has a vast difference than growing for commercial use. You would not just grow 2 trees on your veranda. Therefore, the cost to grow this crop cannot be evaded. The success of such a crop comes with an exorbitant cost for growth and maintenance. Some may be tempted to argue that it is easy to sow some seeds in the ground outside and get some trees. However, if you are desirous of having steady and reliable harvests, indoor growing would be the more appropriate choice. In so doing, the farmer would need an indoor facility that is equipped with all the necessary equipment, such as grow lights, air circulators, dehumidifiers, gardening tools, and other systems needed for the plants to grow. These expenses do not exempt other startup and maintenance costs. Most traditional financial lenders do not provide funding for cannabis businesses, thus making it difficult for young people to get funding for their capital. It is also important to note that cannabis businesses end up with huge federal tax bills. The United States Federal Tax Code still classifies cannabis farmers as drug traffickers, yet they are still required to pay federal taxes. To compound their plight even further, these businesses are not permitted tax deductions like any other business are. Thus, payroll and other operating expense deductions are not available to them. This adds to the burden of maintaining such a crop and will continue to be a deterrent to many young people. My esteemed opponents, as I bring my argument to a close, I want you to put all preferences aside and review the mood for this debate from a more neutral standpoint. And by the end of this exercise, I am confident that you will agree with me that there is absolutely no way that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. This is because there is a stigma associated with agriculture among young people. There has been multiple unforgettable failures of other lucrative crops, and last but not least, the cost of growing and maintaining cannabis is far too high. I thank you.
Madam Moderator, judges, my most worthy opponents, good afternoon. Like my colleague, I join in supporting the mood that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will indeed increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. Firstly, we will all agree that the marketability of cannabis in a vibrant economy is going to generate the interest of the youth in agriculture. Marketing is key. In any sector of any economy, marketing is key, and in the agricultural sector, it is no different. Since marketing involves the promotion and selling of product, it therefore means that it is going to increase the already high demand of cannabis in an industry that is pulsating with life. Marketing brings return, money. This, my dear friends, will motivate any young person to get involved in agriculture. Why? Because of the economic security that it provides. Young people will now have health security, educational security, social security, and food security, just to name a few. However, my opponents may disagree and argue that young people despise agriculture because of the long and hard work because they have put in long and hard work and there is not much returns. But since my colleague has already convinced them of the profitability of the cannabis industry, I have no doubt that the young people will be eager to dig right in and work as hard as possible to earn the rewards of their hard labor. Therefore, the onus is upon us today to dispel these negative connotations attached with agriculture and show our young people the benefits of cultivating marijuana. And mark you, we are by no means encouraging the youth to take part in the recreational use of marijuana, but instead to use the herb for medicinal purposes. Again, we are to bear in mind that marijuana is merely a herb that poses great potential in the field of medicine to treat cancer, mental disorders, and chronic pain, to name a few. Many of us here today have utilized some of this herb, like Tabac Zombie to treat the flu, and I'm sure you are thankful for the relief given. So let us remove the stigma attached to the marijuana herb and visualize the great potential to be derived, which once marketed properly will have the youth eager to get involved in agriculture. Market research, one of the elements in marketing, reveals that the global medical cannabis market size was valued at $6,822.21 million in 2020 and is projected to reach $53,883.46 million by 2030. Another study conducted by Kyle Jagger and published on January 2nd, 2023, found that marijuana legalization boosted job opportunities in the agricultural sector. Permit me to quote, "Our estimates show that the marijuana industry is associated with an increase in agricultural employment consistent with the opening of a new illicit market," end of quote. My most worthy opponents, the market is large, the returns are high, the industry is pulsating with life, and I can see the interest in your eyes. This brings me to my second point. So will profit, innovation, marketing, and sustainability be enough to interest the young people in agriculture? It most definitely will. My colleague and I conducted a brief survey which revealed that 46% of the sample saw that the absence of developed agricultural industries as a deterrent to their involvement in agriculture. 38.2% of that same sample said that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase their interest and participation in agriculture. So the question is, will that interest in the cannabis industry trickle down to other crops and agricultural ventures? I dare say it will. So look around you and imagine with me young people who have been trained, have developed, marketed, and earned from an agricultural industry. These young cannabis farmers who have now been empowered by the involvement in something so versatile and innovative are now bursting with confidence. Every crop will be viewed with a fresh perspective. Every challenge will be encountered with the zeal to think outside the box. No longer will a dashing be considered as just a dashing, but it will be seen as much more. Every crop will be considered something that can be used in an innovative, sustainable, and marketable way. A confident, empowered young person is a great tool in the hand of any industry. So again, I would like to reiterate our position that the development of a cannabis industry will no doubt increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. Thank you.
Judges, Madam Moderator, organizers of the Inter-Secondary School debate competition, teachers, fellow supporters, and last but not least, my worthy opponents. Good afternoon. Today, my partner and I are adamant in opposing the statement that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. In addition to the sound arguments presented by my teammates, I wish to further convince today's audience and more so my opponents that the development of cannabis as a vibrant industry is not a feasible alternative to gain the interest and participation of young persons in the agricultural sector based on the premises that the benefits of cannabis are not universally accepted. The consumer market needs to be large enough in order to sustain such venture, and last but not least, potential cannabis farmers are subject to being unproductive. One of the most burning issues which must be considered when contemplating the use of cannabis for commercial purposes is the fact that the produce is not universally accepted. Madam Moderator, permit me the opportunity to divert my rival's attention to the situation regarding cannabis globally. Evidently, government leaders lean toward a conservative stance on cannabis. In support of this bearing, the World Population Review declared that cannabis is illegal in the majority of the United Nations countries such as Dominica, Guyana, France, and parts of the United States, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, how is the trading of such goods expected to be successfully interchanged on an international level if the use of the goods are restricted or forbidden? Here is why such proposal will be futile. Not only does the US federal government consider marijuana as illegal, it is classified as a Schedule I drug with a high potential for abuse and little to no medical benefit. To further compound the matter, banks have been generally unwilling to do business with companies that sell marijuana out of concern that taking deposits from marijuana businesses could violate federal anti-money laundering laws. Madam Moderator, young people, if cannabis is to be considered as an alternative for gaining the interest of young people in agriculture, then the issue of legality on a global level must be addressed. And since the possibility of rectifying such matter will take a prolonged course, my partner and I choose to disregard the said approach. Another reason why the development of a vibrant cannabis industry is not practical is because the consumer market needs to be large enough in order to sustain such venture. Madam Moderator, let's use our very island, Dominica, to justify this claim. The last national census report presented by the Dominica Central Statistical Office disclosed the island's population at 71,293. Based on the current population of the island, there isn't a market large enough to make retailing profitable, and even though one may suggest the exportation of the goods, like my partner indicated, history has shown that there is no chance of this becoming a success. My worthy opponents, why should any country consider such risky undertaking when the outcome is obviously non-profitable? Fellow critics, I am sure your response to this question would have caused you to reconsider your stance regarding the moot of debate, and if this doesn't, then the subsequent point will definitely seal the deal. Finally, potential cannabis farmers are subject to being unproductive. Hence, another compelling reason why considering the expansion of such industry with the intention of gaining the involvement of youth within the agricultural sector is not plausible. According to the UN Office on Drugs and Crimes World Drug Report 2022, approximately 284 million people aged 15 to 64 used drugs worldwide in 2020, a 26% increase over the previous decade. Additionally, young people are using more drugs, with youth levels today in many countries higher than with the previous generation. Madam Moderator, these alarming data constitutes a red flag and is a blatant indication to the opponents that the involvement of youths who are already vulnerable to drug use and abuse is a recipe for disaster. While my opponents might say that this is an indication that young people will gravitate to agriculture, this would by no means be in their best interest. The result, may I say, a group of individuals will be far more driven by the actual consumption of the commodities rather than working towards a profit. In other words, they will be too doped to be productive. In conclusion, I remain resolute to the stance that the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will by no means increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture. The threat being that cannabis is not universally accepted, the consumer market needs to be large enough in order to sustain such venture, and last but not least, potential cannabis farmers are subject to being unproductive. Having achieved my initial goal, which was to sway the views of all those who seek to question the stance which my partner and I hold, I now confidently leave the assignment in the capable hands of the honorable judges to officially declare that our mission has been accomplished. I thank you.
Good afternoon again. So our opponent said that cannabis is addictive and that people will be quote unquote too doped up to any actual farming. But we say that yes, we acknowledge that cannabis in some situations can be addictive. However, the rewards outweighs the risk. We also notice, right, that the painkillers are very addictive. In fact, most of the hard drugs today are causing really bad problems in a lot of countries are painkillers. But you have yet to see any government actually take steps to ban these painkillers that are causing all these problems. And this is because the rewards that these painkillers bring still outweigh the risk and the bad side. Everything has a bad side to it. It is important that we focus on the benefits that a legal cannabis planting industry, agricultural industry, will bring to us. This is why young people will still be able, there are still young people that will be able to focus and, be interested in the agricultural industry because of cannabis. Agriculture, they also said that agriculture is hard and difficult. And yes, we acknowledge this in our speeches. Agriculture is hard work and it is difficult. But the point is that the cannabis industry or the development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase their interest and participation in agriculture. We acknowledge that it is hard, but the point is that we are trying to increase their interest and participation. They will be more interested in something that is familiar to them, that is trendy, that they are interested in. Young people will be interested in agriculture. Not they will be more focused on the fact that they are planting something that they actually are interested in, and not because, it is hard. Yes, it is hard, but it is something that they will enjoy doing. They also said that there is a great chance of failure. When starting anything, there will always be a great chance of failure. But we noticed and we stated in our speeches that currently cannabis industry is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. And my colleague and I, we conducted a brief survey that revealed 46% so that the absence of this agricultural industry that deterrent. And we noticed, of course, that the cannabis market, medical cannabis market size is valued at 6.21 million in 2020 and is projected to reach 53.46 million by 2030. This shows us that yes, there's a great chance of failure, but there's also a great chance of success. And we must set our eyes on the prize and realize that the point is young people will still be interested even though there is a high risk. Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to say a pleasant good afternoon to the honorable judges, Madam Moderator, the organizers of this debate, teachers, my fellow supporters, and my worthy opponents. Madam Moderator, having listened to the arguments presented by my opponents in agreement with the moot that a development of a vibrant cannabis industry will increase the interest and participation of young people in agriculture, the opposing views that my partner and I share still remains unwavering. We are convinced more than ever that the ill-conceived idea of sustaining youth interest and participation in agriculture by developing a vibrant cannabis industry is by no means practical because of the following reasons. One, there is a stigma associated with agriculture, particularly by young people. Two, evidence of numerous failures in the attempt to develop other lucrative crops is an indication that cannabis cultivation will be no different. Three, the high cost associated with the growth and maintenance of cannabis. 4, the benefits of cannabis are not universally accepted. 5, the consumer market needs to be large enough in order to sustain such a venture. And 6, potential cannabis farmers are subject to being unproductive. Once again, I thank you.
Just a few points for those of you who are moving forward and those of you who would continue in the debating lifestyle. Stepping forward here, debate is about conversation. It comes from Parliament in terms of parley, it's talking. It definitely is not reading from a speech. You understand? You come forward and you are letting people understand that you have gone through the research, you've gone through the information, and this is what you have come forward to present. And therefore, reading can put you on the lower end of the scoring ranking, right? As well as speaking coherently and clearly. When you come up here, even though you are speaking in public for the first time or saying a word for the first time, you must do so in such a way that the persons on the other side of the podium can listen to you, hear every single word that you are saying, and they can feel comfortable. And when you leave, you can feel comfortable with knowing that you have demonstrated a very good account for the material that you took your time, the weeks to prepare. And I would hate, as a debater myself, to step forward and speak for 7 or 10 minutes and persons not be able to understand one word that you have said. So moving forward, we have to understand that you have to be clear when you speak, and when you do speak, you have to speak well.
I'm very happy to announce that the judges have selected Rowan Christopher of the PSS as the best. The points, we have school with 614 points and a school with 568 points. With 568 points, we have the Portsmouth Secondary School. The first winner is from the Waldron SDA. We have Rowan Christopher and Terjeria Rock. And the winners, Bertram and Cherie